So I do want to talk about your like military career and how you got
Yes,
into
sir.
JSOC and stuff like that. But before we do that, man, you're right now you're like a weapons instructor. You guys hold courses and stuff, your company and everything, correct?
Yeah, I'm a single owner, owner proprietor. I'm the chief bottle washer. I'm the guy who does pretty much all of it. I do have two new employees, and Rita
Awesome.
is an advocate of ours. But two new people that both are young. One's 28, one's 29. Both from the Green Beret program, the X-ray, what we call the X-ray program,
Mm-hmm.
in the Army, and they. John Ketman's one of them. He just came with me to the Ohio Tactical Officers Association because I had 40 students, 20 each day. And I'm like, student to teacher ratio, I need another guy. And the other guy's Dylan. And Dylan Shorey is behind the scenes. He does a lot of the stories. Right now, he does all the stories for IG. And he has the Facebook on his phone. I don't have it on mine. And so whatever goes to Facebook, he's seeing it. He's doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And he also is negotiating other contracts on occasion, and I pay them small amounts of money, but as of right now, it's working. So we're going to keep it going. Hopefully, I can make them some more money.
Yeah, hey man, as you grow, they grow, right? I think it'd be cool to be part of something like that, like get in early and like help something build up. As long as
Oh, it's funny. It might, yeah. Well, I'll let you start, and then you want to go down this wormhole, we can talk about that, and then because we're just wasting breath right now.
No, we're started, man. I'm rolling it now. Yeah, we'll call this
cool,
to go.
Sure. Yeah. So when you say starting off new, so here's the funny thing to me. I seem to be always slightly late or behind my peer group as I continue my journey because, as I aforementioned, I was a tanker, right? Armor crewman when I first joined the Army in 1981. So now I'm light years ahead of my peers because I joined a long time ago. But then I quit for a while and I got back in. Did I stay affiliated with National Guard units? Sure, I did. But I was also a civilian at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, all the people in my peer groups are starting to ramp up and go somewhere else, unbeknownst to me, of course, right? So then the war starts, the war in the sand, the first Gulf War, Desert War. And I'm right before the first Desert War started, I'm all jazzed up thinking, tanks are never going to be used again. I did work on the Fulda Gap. For those of you who don't know where the Fulda Gap is, it was this piece of terrain that the United States government was positive, right, during war games, that the Russian horde would pierce the Fulda Gap, which was a big piece of terrain between East and West Germany, and they would use that to exploit that gap and continue to roll into Europe. So that was what we defended when I was a armor crewman in 8th Infantry Division, which doesn't even exist anymore. That's been all gone. And so I was behind, right? I'm all behind. When I get to, fast forward, when I get to the Rangers, I'm old. I mean, I'm not old. I still don't think I'm old. That's a controversial
If you're
thing
26 in the Marine Corps or the military, the younger dudes call you old.
Yeah.
So it's just that's the nature of the beast.
I'm going through basic training again because I'm the specialist. I was a staff sergeant. Now I'm a specialist, E4. So I went from E6 to E4, and I think I got to go through the whole thing. So I'm doing all this, and I'm like, I'm way older than everybody. But what are the advantages? Psychological, physical maturity, both of those things. I mean, I was completely blowing them away. I was in the advanced group of everything I did. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying I'm some sort of superhuman, but you're just you have muscle maturity they don't have.
For sure.
You have mental maturity they don't have. You've been to those places. You've been to places where your back hurts and your feet hurt when you're doing a road march. You've been to those places where you've been miserable. So none of these kids didn't have any knowledge of that. So So that goes on, and then I get to my next station, Rangers, and I'm old, and I'm already a soldier. I mean, these cats that came with me across the hall, they were all 18 through 19 years old. I'm 26. I had a life, these kids are brand new out of school, and then when I get to JSOC, same kind of thing. I'm like the guys that are teaching the OTC class are 10 years younger than me. But they've been there for 10 years, and here I am just getting here, and I'm thinking, what an idiot! I've squandered my life,
That's crazy because that's known to be an older group of people, anyways.
It is, and I'm even older still. Yeah. So now I'm 57.
Damn, you're old as fuck.
I'm old as fuck, man. AF, old as Air Force. The first time I ever saw that, when I don't know how old I was when I saw AF.
Old.
I thought, is Air Force.
Yeah.
Someone's saying something Air Force. I'm
What
like,
are they talking about
that's
the Air Force?
Air Force. Yeah. Why? No.
You're all messed up, man. You got too many acronyms in your head from too much time in the service. So that's a couple things I want to talk about. Let's start with you were doing armor. Well, I want to come back to the civilian, how you're training civilians and stuff, and only because more stuff came out about that Uvalde shooting, like today and yesterday, about how these officers were on scene within 3 minutes of that dude starting to shoot. And the door wasn't even locked, and they sat out there forever, like waiting to go in. And they had ballistic shields and shit like that. Like, what's your take? Someone that like trains people, trains law enforcement, trains civilians in this kind of, actual scenario. I'm sure there's scenarios similar to this that you guys go over. What's your take on something on this? Just whatever it is, whatever you want to call it, this travesty, this freaking just insane thing that happened.
Okay. Before we go deeper into the hole, which we have to, right? We have to look at this from a critical eye. To caveat the whole thing before we start in Uvalde, we would get reports. Here you are. You're graduated to the top, tier 1 level unit. Okay, everything's fantastic, blah, blah, blah. And then you get a report from your folks forward. They went to this firefight and they did this and they did that. And you're the Monday morning quarterback. So you're sitting behind the computer going, why didn't they do this or why didn't they do that? Mm-hmm. And someone would inevitably say, well, you can't say that because you weren't on the ground. You can't say these things. You can't critique these things because you weren't on the ground. Well, I don't believe that's true. I believe as a critical eye in the professional arena that you are in, you must look at this. You must open your mouth, be vociferous, look at what's actually happening. All right. And then pick it apart. Do we know all the details yet? No, we probably don't.
I agree.
What you just said about the 3 minute thing. I haven't heard the 3 minute thing yet. I haven't heard that.
That just came out like today or yesterday.
I saw the pictures in the hallway. I heard what a major news organization reported, that the guys had a Halligan tool and a shield. If you have a shield, obviously you're partially able to move forward without getting overwhelmingly shot. I hate the shield, actually. It's not my favorite thing, but
that was going to be one of my questions. What is a ballistic shield able to take? Can it even take a 5.56 round from an AR?
Well, it obviously depends on what the ballistic level of the shield is, and certainly it can if it's made that way. Yeah. And the other one is the Halligan tool. So the reporter from this major news organization said Halligan tool. So that means he doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. That's number one. But the Halligan tool is a tool designed to be able to open doors. It's got a pry bar on one side. It's got a pick on one side. It's got a fork on the other. So it's a long tool, right, with a T on it, right? One's a pick, one's a small wedge, and the other is a fork thing at the end. So anyway, this reporter didn't know what he was talking about, but at the same time, though, but if that's true, if they were there early, if they had a Halligan tool, because the Halligan tool is to open up doors, it's to breach, it's a mechanical breaching tool, right? The Halligan, it comes from the firefighters; they use them all the time.
Yeah,
and so the law enforcement throughout the years, so obviously there's a reason to have this. All right, there's a good thing to do is have this thing so you can get indoors, mechanically breach. So if they had a mechanical breaching tool, that's good. If they had a shield, that's good. Obviously, you could move up to the door that you think is the suspect's door with the shield, and then operate the Halligan tool to get in if you needed to get in. And then you hear these rumors that the door wasn't even locked from the inside. It could not possibly be locked on the inside. All right. So
I just looked it up real quick. There were 3 officers there within 3 minutes of him entering the school. There were 3 officers there within 3 minutes of him entering the school, and one of the teachers that was killed, her husband was a police officer, and she called him and said that she'd been shot and she thought she was dying. And when he went in to try to get her, they stopped him and took his gun away.
That's what we're hearing too. I'm hearing the same. So
can you
that's
believe
heinous.
that?
Well, it hurts my heart, but I guess I do, right? Because I will tell you, So, okay. Yeah. So I would say to you, like if we're on the street or hanging out by the mailbox or by the water cooler in the office, I would say, I don't believe that crap. That's crazy talk. No, that wouldn't happen. But what has happened throughout the last couple of years? What have we seen through the last couple of years that you and I have both seen already and go that I would never have thought that would have happened. I never would have thought millions of people would have put a mask on their face and did nothing. Never would have thought the CDC would do the things they did. I never would have thought that OSHA would tell people that they have to wear a mask at work because OSHA's not designed for that. I never would have thought I saw most of the things I've seen in the last 2.5 years. Now, that being said, your question is deep. Your question is good. It's a great question. What the hell, right? What in the hell? Why weren't we running to the sound of the guns? Big question mark. Now, pause for a second. Now, go back to 9/11. 9/11. On 9/12, everybody came together as Americans. 9/13, 9/14. We're probably all together for Americans for about a month, maybe. And then we went down the crapper again because we're narcissists and we have computers in our pockets and blah, blah, blah. But the dudes, the Port Authority, the firefighters, they ran to the sound of the guns. They ran to get those people out. Were people shooting them or are they being rescued? Well, people were being rescued. These guys at Uvalde and Parkland, so go back to Parkland too, right? The guy who stood outside in his car, or did he stay outside of his car, or he's in his car?
No, he was outside running around the outside of the building.
Doing nothing.
It's crazy.
I just went to the Ohio Tactical Officers Association meeting, which is a huge deal. I had more than 40 students, 2 days. One day was all pistol. Second day was all carbine. And each day I opened up with, listen, if you are not prepared to run to the sound of the guns, if you are not prepared while you have a gun on your hip or a rifle in your hand, if you're not prepared to go down the hallway and get that bad guy, then go be a lawyer. Go be a waste management guy. Go be a burger flipper. I don't care. But don't be in this job. We have to, if you're going to wear a gun, this is the gunfighter mindset. So we're going to go back and forth, and I know we're going to go down numerous rabbit holes, but one of the things that I think that I hope makes me different, is that I preach the gunfighter mindset all the time, right? That's what I was. That's what I am. I still am that today. I preach it all the time. You have to think tactically. If you're wearing a gun on your hip, you're a gunfighter. If you have a carbine you just took out of the car, you're a gunfighter. If you jack rounds into the shotgun on your way to the crisis site, guess what? You're a gunfighter. You have to be. And if you don't want to be one, then you need to get the hell out. Get out. You don't need to be in that job.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, if you can't do it, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with it.
It's not for everyone.
But you shouldn't be, man, in a position like that where kids are actively getting killed and you're just standing there, like. And again, like you said before, we got to hear everything that, what actually happened on the ground. But I find it's going to be shocking to find anything that changes my feelings towards what happened. Like, I just can't imagine. I think they said at one point there was over 100 police officers, in the on the ground and in the area, and it's like no one went in the door. Nobody wanted to go into the door. It's like, come on, man.
Yeah. Why was BORTAC the only guys to go in?
Thank God those dudes are there, right?
So I trained some BORTAC guys, and I know some BORTAC guys, and there's some great people there. Why all of a sudden was BORTAC taking over?
They weren't even. Apparently they were like ignoring commands to stand down, and like they're whatever they were doing. They're like, "Fuck this! What are you guys doing?" And went in, man. And you know what? Good, man. Someone had to do it, and that dude got lucky that fucking took him out. Got that round grazed his hat. You can see that graze on his hat. But man, it's so crazy. But yeah, I'd like to see a full timeline. That information came out today, so I wanted to hear from somebody that, I don't know, what percentage of your students are law enforcement compared to civilian?
I'd say overwhelmingly. I'd say since I've become a open enrollment shooting instructor, overwhelmingly, we are more military and law enforcement. Still, contracts. I've worked with other professionals, I've worked with Pat McNamara and Ricky Hogg from Warhog.
Nice.
I've worked with, I'm going to, I did the TTPOA. I just did the OTOA. We're doing Kentucky in September. We're doing the ATA K9 Symposium in Muscatatuck in Indiana. I'm doing another course in Indiana coming up. And those are almost all law enforcement officers. So primarily I'm not saying it's not my preference. I like working with everyone, but can I make a difference with the law enforcement guys? I want to. If I can make a difference in the military guys, I want to. Part of the speech too, when we do bona fides and say who are you, why'd you come here, blah blah blah. This is who we are. The story is I'm getting on a bus. It's October of 2001. Towers came down in September. This is October. Chaplain gets on the bus and says, "You men are now the agents of correction. You need to bring restorative justice to the world and take these guys out. That's the only thing that's happening right now. You are the agents of correction." So when I talk to my students now, I go, look, I'm not the agent of correction anymore. I hope I can help you, but I'm not a full-time military guy anymore. I'm not a part-time military guy anymore. I'm certainly not a law enforcement officer. I'm just a concerned citizen that has some skills. So can I bring them to you?
Mm-hmm.
But now that's the key, though, right there. I am no longer the agent of correction, but I want to imply to you that you need to be. You are, and you need to get involved. You need to get. You're carrying a gun on your hip. You're a gunfighter. So let's go.
Yeah, there's an expectation. It's like, hey, man, if you're stepping up to the plate, throwing that badge on and throwing that gun on, there's a lot of responsibility that comes with that.
Yes.
Like I'm totally pro police and stuff, but obviously bad cops got to be investigated, and things that happen have to be looked at because they have more power than anyone, and it's granted to them by the state. And that's where the responsibility lies. And if you're going to walk around with that kind of power, when shit happens, it's like you have to be ready to step up. And don't get me wrong, man. I guarantee they're scared. Fucking who wouldn't be, man? You're getting ready to walk into a door where you got a dude with a known gun, probably pointed right at the door. But somebody's got to be the first dude to that fucking door and end that shit.
Have you seen the Band of Brothers series?
Oh yeah, of course.
Do you remember what episode 3 is called?
I do not.
It's Karen Tam.
Oh, okay.
But it's all about fear. It's all about fear. The whole thing's about fear. They got a great speech in there by Captain Spears. You got a great speech in there by Harry. What was Harry's last name? Damn it. He was from Pennsylvania. You have a great speech in there by Dick Winters, of course. But it's all about fear. They find the guy, Blythe. Yeah. William Blythe. Robert Blythe. And he's in his hole. He keeps telling everybody, I didn't do anything. I didn't go anywhere. Then he's got hysterical blindness when he gets into his first troops in contact type of involvement. But it's all about fear. And the old men that are on the show before the show takes place are the real guys from Easy Company 101. And they say, everybody was scared. Everyone is scared. So to your point, you are scared. Guess what? I walked through the door numerous times going, holy crap. But guess what? If you don't do it for the dude next to you, right? My sword is your shield. If you don't do it for the guy next to you, well, then forget it. Then go be a warrior. Man.
It's fucking crazy though. Yeah, it's a crazy thing. It's something that people, and it sucks for the guys that are really good cops that sitting back going, man, what the fuck? That would have had no hesitation going in and stopping that or whatever. But I don't know, man. It's just such a crazy thing. I do want to pivot from that, and we'll get to your military stuff a little bit. You were with Armor. What did you like? What kind of vehicles were you in? This is in the 80s, right? So was this like a I don't know? Did you have the souped up RV? What was that movie called? Stripes. Stripes style RV.
Okay, all right. So now you're really okay. This is funny, and this is true. So joined the Army in '81. I was an armor crewman. The first tank that I worked on was the M60A1 series. It didn't even have a laser rangefinder. The M60A3 had a laser rangefinder and a thermal sight. So in '80 when I was a tanker in Texas in the 1st Cav. 19 Cav, 1st Cavalry Division, and we had M60A1s. When I got to Germany, M60A3, so that had laser beams.
Were you like, holy shit,
exciting.
look at this souped up tank?
No, dude, it's a great defensive tank. It's a great tank. It's 850 horsepower motor, 105 millimeter cannon. M240 was coaxially mounted on the machine gun, and then we had an M85 machine gun for the tank commander up there. So, long story short, what was your question? Say how?
Well, I was saying, I was asking what tanks you were in. So now that we know you're in the M60s, go ahead.
Yeah, in 1986 when I got out, I was transitioning to the M1, and I didn't do it, so I got out. So
really, do you regret not seeing seeing it from the inside? No.
No, I saw it from the inside.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What's your take?
Okay, hold on a second. Wait, just for a second. So go back to stripes. So Delta 3-2 for all you stripes weirdos, you fags out there that want to see the stripes movie.
It's classic.
So when it is classic. Was it filmed? It's filmed in Fort Knox, Kentucky. That's where I took my basic training and my advanced individual training the first time.
Okay.
And there's a scene where Murray and who's the other guy? Glasses. Eugene Levy. Yeah. So they're running away, and they're hiding behind a tank. The tank is Delta 3-2. When I was a corporal, acting corporal, even weird, I signed for that tank.
Oh,
that
sick.
was my tank in the movie. Yeah. So, I'm sure the other dudes signed for that tank too, but it's gone now. I'm sure that tank, all those tanks are gone.
Yeah,
so,
probably
that was my tank.
Probably in some other country.
Dude, another similarity. All right. So the same guy when Bill Murray's getting his underwear from the central issue facility, right? They're going through all their stuff, and he says boxers or briefs or whatever, and that's the same dude that gave me my underwear. Same time. I mean, same time frame.
Oh, really?
Same guy. Yeah, bro. Same time.
That's hilarious. That's like the barber down in Paris Island. He's in like every photo of the barber shop. You're like, oh, it's the same dude every time. It shaves everybody's head. Dude. That dude's shaved who knows how many hundreds of thousands of heads. It's like, that's so crazy to even think about. It's weird how Hollywood kind of injects, you get a little touch of it while you're in the military sometimes. When I was a mechanic in 2009, it might have been late 2008, early 2009, I was getting ready for my first deployment to Iraq. They sent me to a school in South Carolina where they worked on the MRAPs. It's where the factory was for the Cougars and the Buffalo, the big one that had the big arm that came out. So if you remember from the first Transformer movie, at the end, there's a buffalo and it's like skating down the street and stuff like that. And whatever, they end up blowing it up and everything. That buffalo was the one we would work on. We'd pull the motor out and shit like that. It had a Decepticon logo, like as big as my hand, welded on the back door.
That's
and I was like, that's fucking cool, man. Yeah.
So it was your AIT type of
No, this was after. This was like, hey, you're going to Iraq. Here's the armored vehicles you're going to be working on. We need to send a couple guys there that can specialize on just that. So that's what I was doing there. But my question was, what I was getting to before about the armor thing. What's your take on what's going on in Ukraine with armor, like the inability of their armor to really do anything? And let's highlight the fact that their logistics people fucking suck. Now we know why they made everybody go start the motors on the vehicles and drive the vehicles every once in a while at the motor pool so the tires didn't get worn out.
So you're saying the Russians aren't... So is that where you're going here? The Russians can't do it, right? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I'm wondering what your take as an armor guy, seeing javelins and stuff take out these, supposed to be super sophisticated pieces of armor. Do you think armor's dead in a lot of situations? Do you think there's
No.
There's obviously situations where we need it, like open desert and stuff, but do you think that, even that, I don't know, man. I don't think it's dead personally. I don't think that, but I think it's very vulnerable, way more vulnerable than it's ever been.
Well, the Javelin's a sophisticated piece of equipment too. So Javelin is a great piece of equipment. So, but is the Russian army here doing a total warfare concept upon Ukraine? That's a question to answer your question. I don't believe they are.
You don't think so?
No, they're tiptoeing around. They are not doing a total warfare thing. I think if they did, that'd be a whole lot. I don't think Ben Stiller would be hanging out with whatever's nuts is.
That shit right there. Every time I see a celebrity or somebody go over there, I'm like, dude, what the fuck are we giving them money for? Like, they think that, for some reason, they think that, like, helps their cause and, like, stuff. I'm sitting here thinking, like, Why is this a thing for celebrities and politicians trying to go over and get their photo op with Zelensky? You know what I'm saying?
Okay,
I get his position where he's trying to raise funds for his army and stuff like that, but it's just like, it just feels so cheap. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a Hollywood production. It's all fake.
We have to be real careful about this whole thing, right? Everybody's throwing propaganda around.
Oh,
the Ukrainians
100%.
are, the Russians are,
everybody.
Our media is throwing propaganda around. It's just absolutely ridiculous, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you went back to money, though, let me jump on that just for a second. We spent 44 million or 44 billion. What
44 billion. That's more than we've spent a year in Afghanistan.
And then we're going to add another billion. They just right. And we can't.
I saw a headline the other day like, "Oh, Ukraine is buying $200 million worth of javelins from the U.S. or whatever," and I'm like, "No, they're not. That's part of that 44 billion. Quit making it. Quit churching it up."
But we can't spend $1 million or $2 or $5 or $10 million on our own border.
That's frustrating. I'm here in San Diego, man, and every time I go over to Otay Mountain, which is right on the border, you literally look down into like Tijuana or what area is that? It's right across the literally. Every time I go over there, there's Border Patrol with dudes lined up, sitting down, cuffed, waiting for them to come pick them up and stuff. It's
know
crazy.
Where the Academy Southwest is? Right by the border crossing?
I do not. Are you talking about the range or whatever they have over there?
Yeah, the Academy Southwest has a facility there.
Yeah, I've never been there or anything. I know the area, but I've never really been over there.
It's a Blackwater. It's an old Blackwater facility, but I've been there a couple of times, and it's just it's right there. It's right there by the border, yeah. But this whole wormhole.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing, man. It's hard to watch for me. What kills me, and we don't have to sit here and get into politics and stuff like that, but what kills me is the same people. Yeah, I'm gonna dabble a little bit. The same people that'll tell you that the border should be open and that, or not even open, but that we should, why are we making a big deal about this many people crossing and stuff like that, are also the same people that are going to tell you that housing prices are too high and jobs aren't paying enough. It's like, bro,
yeah,
hundreds of thousands of people are coming here. Where do you think they're going? They're going to the cheapest housing they can find. You know what I'm saying? Yep. That's where they're going, because for a lot of them, not everybody, but a lot of them are going to that's where they're getting put, is the cheapest housing. A lot of times, you don't think that's having an issue on the housing market. You don't think that jobs that would pay more aren't having artificially deflated wages because there's people willing to come and work for tax free and stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's like, to me, I'm like, if you really care about these farm workers and stuff, that people decry conditions or their pay is so low because they're getting it tax-free and stuff, you got to know who's coming in. You got to know, let them come in. I'm all about it. Let them come in and work and stuff like that. But we got to know who you are. They said there's been 50 people from the FBI terror watch list caught this year.
Yeah.
Coming through the border.
How many getaways are there? Yeah. And then they said, right, the next comment was, and they've had like 4,700 getaways or whatever. Yeah. So how many dudes are there? I've seen this before. We saw this before when I was in Southwest Asia fighting the good fight, right? We're over there fighting in Iraq and wherever else. And friends of mine say, hey, check this out. This guy is one of the, not an HVT yet, but here he is crossing the Mexican border. Oh yeah, we found him. And here is the stuff that was on his body, these pictures, and they were stuff from Iraq. I'm like, yeah, okay.
It's crazy, man. I'm all about immigration. I'm all about people coming and living the American dream. Look how many immigrants have come to the United States and become multimillionaires. And
that's what we are. We're the melting pot. Yes.
Come from nothing, but I think people need to do it the right way. And I think that we need to
be the right people too. It has to be the right people.
We need to do something with the immigration courts where the people that are coming through legally are getting processed faster and stuff like that, because it's crazy, man. And again, like I said, I can be at the border in probably 15 minutes, not even. I'm south of the 8 in San Diego for anybody that knows the area, so I'm pretty close to the freaking border. But anyways, yeah, so my take on armor, I think it still has its purposes. But I think it's becoming limited because of the technologies, drones, these anti-tank weapons, IEDs. I mean, look at what IEDs did to Abrams. You know what I'm saying? You're having massive multi-million-dollar, logistically heavy. I mean, you can speak to that. How difficult was it to constantly the logistic train behind the tanks is huge.
Now, even where we were in Southwest Asia in the past, though, I don't. Abrams didn't have a lot of issues with any kind of IEDs. That may be a myth. I'd like to see some data on that, but
We had a
in the
tank
end,
in Sangin Valley, and the Sangin Valley get taken out by an IED. No one,
I
luckily,
don't
no one
doubt
was killed. There was a crewman injured. They were, I think it was 3-4 was doing an op, and they had tank support. They brought in tank support, and we
on a
told them
large
not to.
scale, on a large scale, would it just get immobilized, right?
Well, yeah, but you're talking about something that cost $100 maybe to build and mobilize this, and
No, no.
not just immobilize, but think of now the effort, the logistics effort to come pick it up. You got to bring in the Hercules. You got to bring in support.
Well, it's the same with a helicopter. It's the same with anything else.
Yeah,
And
no, you're right. We do it, and they'll do it too. They're good at it.
Blitzkrieg type warfare. It's just, so this is where we're going anyway, I think. So in my opinion, along with what you're saying, the total warfare Blitzkrieg type thing is limited now, but you can't let it go, because when we start fighting a near peer, what if we start fighting a near peer element? What if we start fighting a Russia again, or a China, or North Korea?
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be sweeping movements across the peninsula of Korea. There'll be sweeping movements across whether it's India or somewhere in South East Asia, or sweeping movements across Europe. If Putin really wants to bring the band back together and push back into Czechoslovakia and Hungary and Poland and East Germany, those movements aren't going to be taken by some Spetsnaz. They're going to be taken by large swaths of area. Are going to be taken by mechanized action, mechanized infantry, mechanized
armor and
tanks,
artillery are going to be coming through. Yeah, no, I agree. I think part of the reason they're suffering is their tactics fucking are garbage. I mean, we've all seen videos of them bunched up, getting blown up, and just doing dumb stuff and getting just schwacked. It's crazy to see, but
look on top of that, right? So, what is the buy-in? That's another big thing, right? So, tactics are bad, so their lack of leadership is one thing, but is that because of the buy-in? How are we convincing you to do this? Do we really need to do? How many guys really want to do this?
Yeah.
Is there really did he have a good propaganda effort to the people to say, hey, everybody, we really need to smash Ukraine because they're a bunch of evil bastards? I don't think he did. So
I really wish there was a reliable news source out of Russia. You know what I'm saying? That you could hear at least multiple points of view that aren't influenced by the government, because everything that comes out of there has to be approved by the Kremlin. So it's worthless in my eyes, without somebody independent backing it up. But yeah, man, it's pretty crazy though. So what drove you to get out of tanks and move along to move along?
The professional army in Europe, and the United States Army's professionalism in Europe was poor. Drugs were a big thing. Leadership was bad. I just wanted to get away from it. I never even had a beer till I was like 21, 22. It just wasn't my thing. And you had guys with duffel bags full of dope. You had guys getting rolled up at the Bahnhof in Germany for bubblegum black, or whatever nefarious activity, whatever gang members wanted to knock off an American dude, take his money. It was not good. It just wasn't a good atmosphere. It wasn't good. And then, so I figured, just let me get out of here, get away from it. So when I did, I missed it, of course, but then I really realized I really didn't do any research beforehand, but when I did research afterwards was, what about special operations? What about infantry? What about airborne infantry? What about Ranger infantry? What about Green Berets? What about stuff like this? And so I, re-engineered myself and came back that way.
Was that a hard decision to decide to come back in, and because were you afraid, man, what if I roll back in and it's same as it was before? Because a lot of guys get out and then they miss it and they're like, fuck, maybe I should go back in, and dude struggles. There's dudes out there that struggle with that for a while before they either get over it. Some don't ever get over it. Some pull the trigger and come back.
Yeah. It wasn't a tough decision for me. No. So in my off times, in my in-between times in the Army, I was a UPS guy. I was a laborer. Then I became a supervisor. I was a bartender. I screwed around a bunch of different things, had a good time. and came back in. And, coming back in was it wasn't scary to me. I really thought I was going to have to do everything from A to Z and do basic training, advanced individual training, et cetera, et cetera. But ended up, I didn't have to do everything. I did most of it. I did all of basic training again, which was interesting in itself.
Yeah.
And then, I was like, holy crap. Yeah. And then
it's like a nightmare.
Almost all of it. I bounced out of it in the end. And then changed my contract because I had seen on a piece of paper that I was going to be 11 mic or mechanized. And I talked to an E5 that was with us, and I said, hey, look, this means mechanized, right? And he said, yeah. And I said, I've been mechanized, bro. I don't want this anymore. I want to go somewhere else. I want to be an infantryman, a real infantryman. And so I ended up going back down into the basement of the 30th AG where all the young bucks come and get thrown into the pile of replacements in Fort Benning. And I just changed my contract and ended up getting a Ranger contract. And the rest is slightly history.
Yeah, that's good stuff, man. I mean, it's funny. Most people would want to be like mechanized. Like, man, I'm tired of walking. Because you could throw everything in there. You could strap stuff to that tank. You could bring coolers if you want. You got room for everything. Bring a couch, maybe. I don't know. So switching over, did you roll right into the Rangers then?
Yeah, so I had a Ranger contract. So once I finished AIT, I went straight to Airborne. Finished Airborne, went straight to RIP. They don't do RIP anymore. They do RASP. RASP is the Ranger Assessment Selection Program. Before, it used to be a Ranger Indoctrination Program. Took place in RIP. And as luck would have it, or maturity would have it, we just talked about maturity, right? And Airborne School, I was the enlisted honor grad. Nice. Weird. And I was like, that's weird. And then when I got to RIP, I was the honor grad as well at RIP. I'm like, that's weird, but okay. When I got the first Ranger Battalion in 93, 93. First Ranger Battalion in 93 and 92, 93, somewhere in there.
What was the atmosphere in the Rangers in the early 90s? This is post-Gulf War, post-Somalia. I mean, I guess Somalia was... Oh, no, I think we were out of Somalia by then, right?
No. Yeah, Somalia was coming up. So I was on the... So going back, the Ranger Regiment, period, is one of my most joyous times of my life. It's a fantastic place for a young man to start. And I was older than a young man, but still, it was a great place for me to start again, or be reborn, if you will. It was a great place. Esprit de corps, everybody cared. Most everybody cared. There was, and if you didn't care, and if a Ranger NCO, non-commissioned officer, saw that guy didn't care, well, with the proper techniques of counseling and writing it all down, he could be released for standards, right? RFS was a real thing. So when you're in 3rd ID or 4th ID or wherever else you are, you can't get a release for standard. Mm-hmm. But the Rangers had no magic formula. I was dating a girl at the time. She was a helicopter pilot. She's like, I love the Rangers. There's no magic formula. You either make it or you don't. And that's exactly right. I was like, this is cool, right? So it was meritocracy. It's what it should be. This is, hey, if you can do these things, great. If you can't, beat it. No hard feelings. You just can't be here. And that's exactly what happened. And so that's first and foremost. It was a great place to be, and there was a lot of motivation. And again, no magic formula. Number two, they did they did stuff like Bright Star. They did stuff like Cobra Gold, which is in Thailand. Bright Star was in Egypt. They did the jump into Southwest Asia. It was what the hell was that thing called? Damn it, I wasn't part of it, but a lot of guys were part of it before I got there. And it was a jump into Iraq or some shit. I don't know what it was, but anyways, they still, some of the guys, some of the E6s and E7s were Panama jumpers. Some of the E7s and E8s were Grenada jumpers. They were, had 2 stains on their mustard, on their 2 mustard stains on their jump wings. Combat jumps, you're like badass. So combat attitude still lived. It was all throughout, and it was a great place to grow up. So.
Yeah, I bet, man. That's one of those things I talk about on the podcast quite a bit, is that with the wars gone, not even winding down anymore, it's over for the conventional forces for the most part, we're losing out on the experience, of those salty or experienced squad leader, you know, or platoon sergeant or whatever. We're starting to like age out of that, you know, and it's like, man, I hope we don't go through, you know, we will, but lessons learned again. Guys will relearn the same lessons over and over again. And I think
cycles are cycles. We do go through that. Yeah.
I think part of that is the military does a decent job of like upper level after action reviews, AARs and stuff of like major exercises and stuff. But I think it'd be beneficial to have really good, you know, accurate, because we know how they pencil whip AARs sometimes, accurate AARs of like fire team up kind of level training and stuff. And I don't know, have it out there for guys so that we don't have to relearn these lessons. I mean, maybe it's already out there, but I don't know. It's just crazy. It sucks that we're losing that experience.
I would think it would be, you know, guys like SLA Marshall reviewed everything from World War II and then, you know, came up with books and new training techniques. These are the wrong ways to do it. These are the right ways to do it. I know that we've seen that before too. The evolution of the up drill, for instance, we teach it all the time. You know, it used to be 2 shots, drop the rifle, 2 shots, drop the rifle. You know, there was no additional sight picture. There was no 4 shots. There was no failure drills. So we had to learn those lessons as we continued on. And, you know, I talk about shot placement all the time. You talk about how many shots it takes to drop a guy. I don't know. There's no data that says it's going to take 8, 5, 7 shots. You need to extinguish that guy as quickly as possible, you know, with your finger. It's the Leavenworth papers. These were a series of papers that were written after World War II, and they were all available to everybody. But mostly commissioned officers get stuff like this in West Point. So I would say that the regular non-commissioned officer in 82nd Airborne, 18th Airborne Corps, 101st Airborne, wherever they might be, they probably don't know these things are available, and they don't have access to them. But there's a lot of stuff that's open. You know, all kinds of stuff is open on the web.
Now, for sure. Yeah, but back in your day, that wasn't possible. You knew what you knew. You don't know what you don't know. And you.
So here's the thing, though. It
was
there. It was there. So
yeah?
even if you looked at the leadership manual, there are some things to learn there, right? But most kids don't want to learn. They don't want to do that.
Yeah,
and most kids today don't either.
Get a 19-year-old to sit down and read a book on tactics.
That's right.
What the fuck am I thinking? You're right.
No, you don't want to. You want to play the video games. You want to hit the bar. You want to hang out with your mates. You want to find that special girl, whatever. You know.
How have you seen the tactics like change? Because you were in early to mid 90s in the Ranger Battalion before you moved on to JSOC and stuff. How have you seen the tactics change from pre-Global War on Terror to like post-Global War on Terror, and then 20 years of Global War on Terror all over the world?
I'm very blessed to have been part of pre 9/11 and post. Training changed a lot once you started getting involved on target, right? Training had changed, like the evolution of the up drill, that changed the way you conducted yourself in close quarter battle. That changed, and it became. How did it become? It morphed because good men went overseas in Southwest Asia and other people got killed. And, you know, okay, why did this guy die? Why did we lose these people? You know, so tactics did change. You know, rules of engagement were almost always, give or take, the same. But could you articulate those rules of engagement? Could you stand behind that weapon and say, that guy wasn't doing what I asked him to do, therefore he got the good news? How come? Was he moving to a cache of weapons? Did he have a grenade in his pocket? You know, how many guys do we see that we say, you know, if I dig, raise up your hands, and then he had a fish wire IED on him? You can't see that stuff in a moment's notice, right? You have to have used thermals or something else, and if you're doing it in the moment, you don't have that. You're not seeing it. Mm-hmm. Guys that would didn't look like they had any weapons on them at all, had a grenade in their pocket. So after a while, you know, some of those things changed. You know, capture kill changed a little bit. When guys didn't have a weapon, that was obviously a key where you didn't give him the good news. He didn't have a gun. You didn't shoot him in the face. But that changed a little bit later. That changed because now, you know, guy didn't have a gun but didn't listen to me, and then he crawls under a bed and gets AK-47. Mm-hmm. a guy doesn't have a gun, but he doesn't listen to me, and he runs towards a PKM that's already hidden, or behind sandbags, or behind something else, or again with the body bombers, et cetera, et cetera. And so now then it rolled into kill capture. I want to capture this guy, but if he doesn't listen to me, if he doesn't follow our instructions, and if he presents himself to be a threat in any kind of way whatsoever, then he's going to get the good news, man. He's going to be killed. So that morphed, and training changed. The train changed a lot.
I bet training advanced quite a bit, especially after the global war on terror started and the money just started flowing in. I mean, you were with SOCOM, so I mean, streets were lined with gold over there.
A little bit, yeah. I've been jaded. I've been with great elements that have had deep pockets, and if we needed something, we pretty much got it.
My take on, a lot of people complain about the military budget and military spending, and there are places we can all look at and go, hey man, this is a waste of money, or hey, we're 3 civilians deep on this one position. Why do we need all these civilians here? Retired E8s and E9s that went on to they created a job job requirement before they got out, and then filled the job as a retiree. Get rid of some of those dudes and stuff like that. But I also believe that you have to spend money to find out what's good and what's bad. Like when we were at Anglico and they bought a group of headsets, we don't know if they're good or bad until we have them. We have them on and we're trying them out. We're taking them out to the field. This part sucks. This thing does, and finding out those issues, and you realize, hey, this $1,500 headset looks good on paper, but in reality, it hurts my head. It fucking comes undone or whatever. So we're going with this other one.
Yeah, unless Anglico or any other organization has a group of men embedded inside them that are part of that unit, but have their own directorate that says, "What do you need? Hey, Justin, what do you need? What do you guys need on the ground? Let's get together, have a meeting. What kind of pistol do you need? What kind of rifle do you need? What kind of breaching tools do you need? What kind of headset do you need? What kind of, you have to go through all that, right? But most organizations don't have their own directorate that does this.
No way. Most of them are fighting for fun. Some units talking about not having enough like machine gun ammo or something like that. We never had an ammo issue at Anglico, but at conventional units, sometimes they'd be like, hey, we'd like to do a range. There's just not enough machine gun ammo to go around or whatever. And
Let me tell you some bad news. So I was just going to do a piece of work with 3rd Special Forces Group. And the training got canceled because they don't have enough ammunition.
That's crazy.
It's absolutely insane. But it's true.
That's pretty wild, man. When I was you would think that a Special Forces unit would never have an issue with getting ammo. Because the expectation is they're coming out as precision shooters. And the only way to be a precision shooter is to shoot. You can't dry fire.
No.
I mean, you can, but it's not the same as going out and putting lead down range, hitting paper, or hitting steel targets or whatever.
No time like trigger time. That's right.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. I don't know, man. I don't know. What are you gonna do?
It's a different world where we're just talking about the politics of changing all the Confederate general army post names, right? How much is that going to cost?
What's your take on that? You're an Army guy. They're not changing any of the Marine ones.
Who cares? Politics has no business in it. Let it go. Mm-hmm. But we just watched. Okay, I don't know if you've seen this or not. Just the other day, the Navy put out 2 naval personnel doing a Navy television commercial, if you will, nav speak. Yeah, I know you're familiar with this, right?
Oh, the pronouns. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think they were Navy people. I think they were.
Yes, they were.
Oh, were they?
Wow. So if they're doing a nav speak commercial, bro, they're Navy people. I don't care if they're contractors or not. They're Navy people.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
But again, so if I'm Putin, right? I'm getting on teleconference, bro. Xi Jinping. Hey, go ahead, do whatever you want to do. Because Biden falls off his bicycle, and these people are talking about pronouns. No. What are we doing? What are we doing?
I don't know, man. It was there's already enough like dumb training in the military that you have to do, like go on and do an online training constantly. But I mean, there's a need for some of it, understanding like security and stuff like, hey, don't leave your cat card in the computer and stuff like that. As dumb as the training is, some people just don't realize, hey, this is a bad idea. Don't click on that weird email that you got. That's not a coupon from someone. That's a phishing email, bro. So we take it for granted that people know that shit, but they don't. But at the same time, they just pile on stuff. I'm glad I got out when I did. Like I got out pre-COVID and stuff like that, and I imagine it got pretty wild during all that. We didn't really have anything, any kind of issues like that when I was in. It was just deployments and stuff for the second half of my career and stuff. I'm sure it was the same for you. You were going with Green Berets and SF and stuff, and then on to JSOC is just, that's a busy lifestyle right there. It's like grabbing onto the train and holding on. What was your first deployment with the Rangers?
All training with the Rangers. So,
okay.
Yeah, everything was training with the Rangers. That's not necessarily true. I did uphold democracy. Went to Haiti. I was on the Haitian vacation, so that was real.
Was it one of the earthquake deployments or?
No, it was the Jean Bertrand Aristide and the issues that were going on there. Yeah, we were on the USS America, and we were going to fly in and take down a building or whatever, long story short, Jimmy Carter showed up and solved all the problems, and nobody ever launched. So
that's got to be really frustrating at a high-level unit like Ranger Regiment, Ranger Battalion, training, on the edge constantly, and there's no game. It's just training every day. There was probably a lot of bitter people that were just like, fuck this. If I'm just going to keep training, I'm just going to get out. Was that an issue, you think?
It probably was an issue in the 80s. With the regiment, I can't speak to that. But, in the end, what's the Army for? What's the military? The United States military, what's it for? It's for nightmares, right? It's for break this glass in case of war, because if it's to protect the American people and the task force partners across and their interests across the globe. That's it. That's it. So it's all about nightmares. It's all about practice. It's rare to be involved in the paint on paint shooting all the time. And we've come through, like you mentioned before, we've come through a series of time now, 10, 12 years of something could be happening all the time now, right? It still can be, so the guys are still doing the good work in Southwest Asia.
Yeah. There's definitely still people deployed all over the place. I don't think people realize that, sometimes it's like, yeah, there's guys out there, man, ready to go all the time. Like those Marines that went into the Kabul airport and stuff like that. Those guys got called in for that deployment. They were on ship waiting for something to happen in the world and got called up. So, there's definitely people out there, already in deployments and stuff, and there's people standing by. Yeah, it's just a crazy world. So how long were you at the Ranger Regiment before? Let's talk about, you went from Rangers to JSOC. What was like the recruitment there? Like, is that something you sought out, or, were you sought out?
So, yeah, no one ever individually sought out. It's, you'll see guys that are senior to you, they may go to a brief and then they may go away for a bit. And, where did he go? Oh, he went to selection. He went, where'd he go? He went away. He went off to group, or he went to selection. And my time, I was 20. I came up in 99. So it was 98, 97, somewhere in there. I got the brief. And somebody had said to me, it's a mandatory brief in the movie theater. Everybody got to go. Roger that. So I went, and I was the only guy there. Huh. So my platoon thought it was necessary or smart for me to go. Got the brief, and I looked at the video and I said, "Holy smoke! Are you kidding me? This is awesome. Why wouldn't you want to go here, right? Why wouldn't you want to test your mettle to be the most professional, high-level soldier you could be?" To me, it was the next level. It was just a natural progression of leadership. Hey, okay, it's time for you to go. Just check it out. And so I went and I failed.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I went and failed immediately. I got an exit interview, and the particular commissioned officer is quite, I'd say he's quite famous. He's not famous. That's not the right words at all. He's well known in circles, but he was the commander of the time, and he said, "Hey, look, we saw this and this in you. We invite you to come back if you want. And I said, well, I do want. And I came back immediately in the fall, and I made it.
How did you fail the first time?
That's a great question. I'm not exactly sure, other than I took too long to go from
one place
A to Z. Okay. And there's, I'm nobody know who the keepers of the keys are. Nobody knows what those time standards are. You just need to go from here to there as quickly as possible. And one day, I think, my own personal belief, I would run myself into trouble. I would read the map and land navigate to a place, and then I would be like, oh, then I'd look around and go, oh, no, it's over there. And I wouldn't pay it enough attention, and I would run myself into trouble, and then I would do extra work to get to wherever I needed to go. So I got to get where I needed to go, and then I would be over time. But I don't know what that time was. Nobody knows.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's got to be. So, when you left there, were you motivated? Were you like, fuck, that sucked, I got to be better, like I'm better than that? Like, what drove you to go back? Because some people would be like, never mind, maybe I'm not coming.
Oh no, there's plenty of people say never mind. Yeah, there's plenty of people that don't want to go again. And I'll tell you, it's the hardest thing I've ever done in my entire life, period. Except for maybe, holding a dude's head and you're intubating a dude on target and knowing that he's going to be put on an airplane expectant, or going to a funeral. Those are the worst things I've ever done in my life. But this is the hardest physical thing I've ever done in my life, without a doubt. And it's just, I wanted revenge. I wanted to come back and do it right.
Yeah. It's notoriously tough, even though people don't really know too much about selection and stuff like that, which I guess is, the way it should be.
Should be.
What do you just go internal at some point? When it's that physically demanding, is it just one of those things like go internal and one foot in front of the other? How do you get through something like, what's your mindset to get through such an endeavor?
No, that's a cool question. I just keep going. I don't want to quit. Just don't quit. It's just, it's easy for us to quit. That's easy. It's easy for you to just go, I feel sorry for myself. It hurts. I'll quit. Reading the Lance Armstrong book. I don't care what you think of Lance Armstrong, but he pedaled a lot of miles, and it was very painful. And every time he talks about getting on the seat of the bicycle, he hurts all the time. His body hurts all the time. And your mental ability to sweep that away, go internal is probably a great way to put it. You take that mental portion of your brain, right? Your mind's much tougher than you think it is. You push the pain away and keep moving. Humorously, Rick Merritt was a Ranger friend of mine. Is a friend of mine. He's an acquaintance of mine. I haven't talked to him in quite some time, but he was a regimental sergeant major at one point in time. And he recalled a humorous story where a young Ranger says, hey, Sergeant, I can't. Hey, Sergeant, my feet hurt. And he would say, quit bragging. I can't feel mine. And so you get to that point where, you just keep going.
Just levels.
Pay the price later. You figure it out. Pay the price later.
Yeah. Dale Comstock came on and was saying that he's like, I wanted to quit. He's like, you'd get to the next point or whatever, and you'd want to quit. But then you realize, like, I'm already on top of the mountain. Like, why would I quit when it was so hard to get up here? And now I'm at the point. Like, this is the stupidest place to quit. If I was going to quit, I should have quit at the bottom, Yeah, it's an interesting thing, man. That's really awesome. How long, what was it like for you? Was it everything you'd hoped for? You said you wanted to go to the next level, like be that next level professional soldier and stuff. Was that what it was for you?
Yeah, I think it was. I really do. I think, I was in Alexander City, Alabama, recently, and I took a class, and the guy said, "Do you miss it?" And I said, "Like you don't even know." I said, "You're working with the best people on the planet." I truly believe that, right? And then especially when it comes to the shooters, right? Best people that want to be in the worst possible conditions with the best people next to them. This is it's unusual, right? You want that extra thing in your rucksack. You want that extra thing. Give me the ball. It's like it's probably not unlike being in professional football, right? Where everybody is so good and you're blown away. I was blown away all the time. And I'll tell you too. I'll tell you humbly. I don't believe I was a great operator. I don't. I believe I was okay. There were some great dudes around me, fantastic dudes around me, and people that touch something, it turns to gold, and you're just like, man, how come I didn't know that? Or a lot of my memories are, damn it, how come I didn't do that better? How come I didn't get this right? I've been blessed without a doubt to be able to be part of that organization, and again, just not the people that raise rifles and go into rooms, but it's these other people. They're combed through and picked through to care about their job. This is a place where people care. Mm-hmm. The lawyer cares. The human resource team guy, he cares. She cares. There's all kinds of people in there, right? The tail is pretty big. The tail is much larger than the teeth in most organizations, and no different here. But the people care, and you just go, man. The cook, he cares. It's just a great place to be, man. The mechanic, man, he cares. It's great people there.
Yeah, it's got to be. It's a different environment, right? When everyone wants to be there, when everyone's like, "This is cool," like we're doing it, And the military, like you had kind of mentioned earlier, is a meritocracy, and it's different levels, starting with boot camp. You're gonna make it through boot camp, or you're not. You're gonna get to your unit. Maybe you go on to something else. Maybe you don't. But if you're good at your job, you stand out. Like, it's like, hey, you're rewarded or whatever for being good at your job a lot of times.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And you kind of, you moved all the way up through all those levels. And it's funny you say like you were an average operator or whatever, which would be like head and shoulders above whoever else below you. And not saying that they did anything wrong or anybody below you any worse. It's just a different level of training. But when you're around everybody's a pro, someone still has to be the worst pro of all the pros, right? There's always got to be that bottom 10%, So it's like, that's why, but I think that's why our military and like, obviously you guys and JSOC and stuff are like just so good, because you look around at the guys around you and you don't want to be the worst dude. You want to be someone that's wanted to be there. Like you're providing for the team. You're doing something. You know what I'm saying? I'm earning my keep here. People appreciate me because I'm a professional and whatever. It's just a different kind of world.
That's a great observation. 2 points. If I can remember the second one. The first one is you got people there that want to be there, right? So here I am. We're doing a capability exercise, and we often did capability exercises for CODELs and for ambassadors and whatnot. And we once it's all finished, it's a big show, but it's still cool. And once it's finished, you get up on the line, and the ambassadors want to come and shake your hands and meet you and blah, blah, blah. So a guy comes over, I don't know who he was, I don't remember. And he says, so when you get to this level, there's no more competition, right? Uh-huh. We're looking at, well, you want to come do a 5 mile? Let's do an obstacle course right now. Let's go. Come on. Yeah. There's competition all the time. Matter of fact, right, the quote from Herb Brooks and the miracle story of the 1980 American Olympic hockey team. Mm-hmm. The legs feed the wolf. There's always competition, man. I don't ever want to be last. You don't want to be last, and you want to do it for the next guy. You really, really do. You just, to me, I still take that training with me. That's the whole mantra of my sword is your shield. I want to help you. I want to help you get in here, right? One is none, two is one. I want to be that guy that helps you. I want to be the guy that has the ball, and you're confident in that I will collapse my primary sector of fire. I will take care of that guy. You don't have to worry about him. I'll take care of him, and I'll come sling my rifle back over here, and I'll do it for you, and we'll be ready to go and go to the next room. Mm-hmm. That's I want to be that guy. I've always wanted to be that guy. I think when I was a kid watching Vic Morrow in combat, or watching Charlton Heston in The Omega Man, which was later on redone again with Will Smith and I Am Legend. I wanted to be that guy by myself. I wanted to be that guy to help out. I just wanted to be that dude. So, whatever. It's all part of it.
Yeah, man. You have to, though. You have to have that kind of attitude, right? Where you're like, I'm here to be an asset. I'm not a liability. I'm here to be an asset every time. Like, you can depend on me to meet my timelines. You can depend on me to be, whatever it is, I'm dependable, So, and you have to, like, and when you're talking life and death, like decisions, it's such a weird thing being out of the military and now working a civilian job where, and as a JTAC, you're literally like, hey, don't fuck up when you're dropping the bomb. You know, like don't do the math wrong when you're doing your angles of attack and stuff.
That's right.
That's a big mistake if you you put a bomb in the wrong spot. To now I'm doing taglines for like companies and stuff as a marketing guy, and it went I went from this like life and death is just kind of a normal thing to like something that's just not, it just feels lame kind of afterwards. You know what I'm saying? Like, but what was cool about being in a job like that though is because it was such a serious job, the guys took it seriously, and we rank didn't really matter. It was like, hey, after every mission, we're going to sit down and debrief, and we're all going to debrief together and talk about what went right, what went wrong. And it's just thick skin. You know what I'm saying? We're going to talk about it because you have to. Because again,
you're right. It can't be a hug fest. It can't be a kumbaya session. We need to come out here and say, hey, look, this was not right. We got to fix this to make it better. 100%.
Yeah, man, because it's life and death. It's for real. And that's what I tried to kind of pass on to guys that were forward observers before I got out. It's like, hey, man, I know you guys are up on the OP, and it's a static OP, and it's like training. You're just getting some like calls for fire and controls in. But you need to look at that training area like that's a village. And if you fucking hit the wrong building, what's the repercussions of that in real life? Like, is that somebody else's house? Is that, that's a real mistake, and it's got to be looked at like that. It's not a game, because that's real shit, in real life. I think that's the kind of attitude and mentality I think is going to be lost as combat veterans leave. You're going to learn tactics and stuff, but knowing like, hey man, like the someone that can like convey the seriousness of what you're about to do. You know what I'm saying?
Well, if we can, I said, when I say if we as professionals like me, there's plenty of great dudes out there right now, and I hope that then we can help that, right? We can help that. We can help bring that kind of mindset, with good leadership, demonstration, and gunfighter mindset, stuff like that. Bring it to the folks that matter, right? Law enforcement, military, and then especially people, especially specially selected Americans, but seriously, what's special Americans, to keep that thing going.
Yeah, for real. So after you got into the unit and stuff like that, how long was it before you got the first like phone call for like a real like, hey, we're really going to go do something? And what was going through your mind?
We were going to do a mission. We were prepping for a mission for a PIFWIC in Bosnia. PIFWIC is person indicted for war crime. That's that crazy acronym. And I got there in 99, came across the hallway, 2000. Prep for this mission, we used I tell this story on occasion. We used a thing called a Simon device, which was a hollow charged weapon that would go on the end of your 5.56 rifle. You'd fire the rifle, you have to recharge it, and then this hollow charged thing would fly through the air and would blow up the door. It was a standoff breaching tool is what it was designed for, standoff breaching by the Israelis. And so we used it on a car because that was our mission at the time, was to knock out this car. It was only we wanted to see if it would break a wheel in half. We wanted to see if it would, disable the motor, and it sure did. It did. We went back up to team room to prep, getting ready to go, and our mission changed. It came back and said, listen, if it gets through the roadblock, then your team needs to destroy it. So we went back down range, and we wanted to see what the Simon device would do to targets on the inside of the vehicle, because we were shooting just at the engine compartment before. Mm-hmm. And so we set some targets in there and fired a Simon device, and immediately broke my neck. The explosion peeled the door away and smashed me in the face.
Oh, no way.
It broke my neck and my jaw, and I lost 6 teeth. And this was my introduction to, the real world mission. I'm like, holy crap. And so it knocked me out. All my mates went on the mission. Nothing ever really happened. I guess it wasn't such a big deal. And then I made it, but I survived that, obviously. That was the first thing we did to prepare for a real world. That was in 2000. After I healed, 2001 was the next step. And so that was my first real mission, was the first strike back against the Taliban in 2001, October.
Well, let's talk about that then. What was it like to be? I was in high school. I was a senior in high school when September 11th happened and stuff like that. I was at home. Like since we were seniors, the juniors and below had some kind of state testing that they had to do. So I was home and we saw, watch the towers and all that stuff. What was it like to be in the military in Delta? Like, you're at the tip of the spear for real, and seeing this happen. Like, what was going through your mind?
It was a bizarre day. We were doing some hand-to-hand combat training with a guy named Tony Blower, great guy, and guy comes up the stairs. We were on a loft area. Guy comes up the stairs and says, "A plane just hit the towers." I'm like, "Yeah, okay." Maybe it's observation plane. Nobody said a word about, what kind of plane. Was it a helicopter? Was it a fixed wing? Observation plane? Was it whatever? Nobody knew. What was it? 10 minutes later, he comes back up the stairs and says, "Second plane hit the tower. We're under attack." And then everything changed. Everything changed. And it was complete chaos, honestly. For me, my perspective, I'm like, what was I, fuck 6? I was like, fuck 4. I was like, I don't know, it was 5. I was probably 5 on the team out of a 5-man team. I was a nobody. But it was just bizarre. It was mayhem. It was report after report of another airplane being, obviously that was just the beginning. Then it was the Pentagon. Then it was Flight 93 into the ground. We just were going kind of crazy. And then in the end of the evening, the end of the day, there were more alerts. There were constant alerts. And then all of Fort Bragg was like a giant traffic jam. You couldn't get back in. So a lot of us stayed there. We had we even defended the gates. It was very, very interesting. Yeah, it was very bizarre. Once all the dust really settled, and then it was time to figure out how to strike back. And so somebody developed a plan, and we put it in action. And it was the longest air assault raid in the history of warfare. And it was almost anticlimactic, actually. I don't know if the pre-fire missions made everybody go underground, but pretty much there was nothing on target. Pretty much nobody was there. Everybody had departed. But it was good. It was.
Well, when you guys flew in, what'd you fly in on?
47s.
Okay. And what was your first target?
Mullah Omar's compound.
Yep. And okay. And nobody was there. Ah, man. That had to be kind of a bummer. Like, all right, well, fuck.
It was bizarre. It was like going through a training target.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I could see that. Man, so I mean, within a month, you guys are boots on the ground, That's got to be like a great feeling though. Knowing that you're part of the guys that are getting to go back like immediately. Like you're one of the first guys there. Did you guys link up with Northern Alliance and work with those guys initially, or was it just straight missions?
Somebody else.
Okay. Can you talk any more? Else. I mean, what else can you tell us about that?
I can tell you it was there's a book by a guy named Ralph Peters, who was the on-scene commander at Desert One. He wrote a book called The Guts to Try. The Guts to Try comes from English pilots working for the government of Oman who came to the site where the aircraft came back onto Jazira Masira, and they threw him a case of beer out of a Pinky or a Land Rover or whatever. A Pinky is what we call them, and in the dust on the top of the case of beer it said, "To all of you from all of us for having the guts to try." So Jazira Masira is where we flew out of. So that was a key thing for me. I was a big historian. I'm an amateur historian is what I call myself. I knew about that, and that was a big thing for me. Again, it was the longest air assault raid in history. I peed 3 times on the way there and threw the bags out the window. I was an assistant breacher at the time. Our breach was meant to put a hole in the wall. Obviously, that's important. If you don't get in, you don't do anything. I don't think I've ever even talked about this openly, ever. Landing was a little chaotic. Looking out before landing, flying. So you're flying nap of the earth, right? For those of you who don't know that, you're getting as close as you can to terrain. When we flew over one particular hill, there was a gun truck there, and it was shooting at us actively. You could see that there was tracers in the air coming right for you, and it was very interesting to see that out of the back end of the aircraft. And it was, when you're wearing night vision goggles, the night vision goggles technology has changed right now. White phosphorus technology is a different scene. Right back then, it was green and black. Almost all my career, I fought in green and black. So, you're just sitting there looking outside of it. You're really looking back out of the back end of a fuselage of an airplane. This is a helicopter in this case, but it's a big square like a TV. And you're looking out there, seeing this gun truck shooting at you, and you're like, "Wow, that's the real deal."
That's the real deal.
When we landed, we took some fire. It wasn't real coordinated fire. It was no. I don't remember ever being in any kind of real danger. There was shots on the wall. I remember shots impacting the wall that we were going to breach. I wasn't focused on that. I was focused on making sure that the prop stick was secure on the charge and secure on the ground, so that the giant charge wouldn't fall off. Stuff like that. You weren't concerned about anything else. You need to be focused on this one thing here before you make entry. And then later on, we had one of the aircraft was damaged. It landed on a portion of a wall. Some of the landing gear was damaged. We had to we had to execute a bump plan, but no real big deal. But when we got to exfiltration, we finished the building structure, numerous structures inside the large structure. When we finished, we were at a gate. I'll never forget it ever. We're at a gate getting ready for exfil, and you could hear the enemy firing rockets. And a friend of mine looked at me and said, "What's that?" I said, "Rockets." You could hear them, and there were the rockets, but nothing really effective. Most of your JTAC guys, not your guys, but my JTAC fellows on the roof, working DAPs and other aircraft, attacking targets in the hills. So whether the enemy had left in tunnels or they had moved off prior, either way, and now that they were shooting stuff at us from remote locations and whatnot. So to me, one of the most nervous portions was, because I knew history, especially about Desert One, was sitting somewhere in the middle of nowhere in the desert. I don't even know where we were, and refueling. And thinking, this is where the helicopter collided with the C-130 here in Desert One, and please let's not do it now. And then flew back and then inspected the holes in the airframe when we got back. So pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, again, once in a lifetime thing. That's one of those things that millions and millions and millions of Americans would have gladly stepped into that spot. To go do that within a month after September 11th. Like, people don't remember that, people that were too young or weren't born yet. It's like, it was just a crazy time. Like you were saying earlier on in the show, like people were so together afterwards, that people wanted some kind of revenge, and knowing that there was like these terrorist training camps and all this stuff coming out of Afghanistan, that's a really interesting perspective, obviously. What was the intelligence like? This is the first days literally of the war. This is also, people may forget because it's such a commonplace thing now, but this was like the very beginning of like drones, our very first models of Predator drones were out there. So it's not like we had these crazy, like, I don't know, intel pieces flying around giving you real time data all the time. So what was it like for you guys? Did you have, I mean, maps, imagery? Did you know what you were going into, or was it kind of a very general scenario?
So first and foremost, from my position, not my concern, right? Tell me where to go, and I will tell you a funny story. A buddy of mine, Billy, and I we'd maybe Echo 5, Echo 6, whatever, where we download, blah, blah, blah. Where's the breach? I don't care about anything else. Just tell me where the breach is. Let me get it done. That's obviously a hyperbolic view of it. It's not what we would think at all in the end, but Intel was, the way I remembered it, Intel was come say, come saw. And none of it was easy. Those guys did a great job filtering through everything in the end. We had a great picture of this particular compound, and then we made not just a sand table, but we made a model. Someone had made a model of this thing. I remember I remember going to the briefing, talking about this thing. But my particular job wasn't focused on that. My particular job was teaching somebody how to make sure they were shooting machine gun correctly, or the breach, and making sure that the charge was right, and working with my team and finding out which way we're going to clear, and blah blah blah, stuff like that. It wasn't I'm very comfortable. Again, jaded, right? So you had the best people working on this. So I'm completely comfortable with doing my job because somebody else is doing their job very well. And so from an Intel perspective, I can't tell you much about it. I don't know much about it other than before we ever launched, it was haphazard. It was, like I told you before, the days of, and then the 12th, the 13th, 14th, there were some crazy days. There were, nobody knew anything. There was rumors upon rumors, and it was kind of bizarre. But
it's a different time where, I mean, even everyone having cell phones was not a thing. No, there was no such thing as a smartphone. There was no such thing as like walking around with tablets with maps and stuff like that. There was the internet existed, but it wasn't like shit. I think you could still probably do AOL in 2001. You know what I'm saying? I think that was still a thing.
Yeah, I think I had I had a Motorola Razr flip phone still in 2007.
Also, there we go, brother.
Pretty short.
Fucking Razr. Worst signal
I remember somebody
ever.
making fun of me. What is that? I'm like, dude, this is badass. I'm like, you kidding me? But yeah. So to a degree, you're right. It wasn't like that anymore. But I do remember working with other task force partners. It was great, and we worked after that particular piece was finished. And we high-fived and said, "Great, yippee skippy, not done yet. We have a lot more to do. So it's time to get back into the desert and start working them one day at a time."
How did things change? Because you were still with them. You were still in JSOC for many years after that, for a while after that. How did things change where this is a situation where you're going in with a limited perspective, limited technology, to, like, let's say the last couple of years that you were in or that you were operating, like, how did things change within the unit, tactics, gear, and stuff? Like, did you see like a massive shift in anything?
No, I would say more like an Overton window, more like this gradual change that probably happened quicker than a regular Overton window type of scenario. But things just started changing. Hey, can you teach me about this Bluetooth? Hey, let's do this. Let's talk about these things. I remember in Southwest Asia, somewhere in the Euphrates River Valley, I had a computer on my chest, and I had a small Bluetooth attachment on my shoulder, which now I would flip down and go, okay, that's where I am right there. Yeah, I get it. And so, before, but regular stuff is a regular map, is a regular grid reference maps and whatnot. And, that stuff never changes. That stuff all, continues to be correct. But technology started to come in. And, you mentioned earlier about weapons technology. You mentioned the Javelin, but how about from a particular shooter user perspective when the ammunition changed? Because, M855 green tip, not so hot. We need to get a better kind of ammunition that has better terminal ballistics when it comes to entering flesh and not exiting flesh when we're in a close quarter battle situation, things like that. So all that stuff changed. The thermobaric grenades changed. There's a whole lot of technology that changed that, again, from my perspective, was more like an Overton window, where all of a sudden it was just there. Okay, sure, fine, let's use that, or a new radio, or a new jamming technique, something like that. Where all of our trucks had jammers in them. First in the beginning, the trucks didn't have the kind of armor we wanted, and then all of a sudden there was somebody said, "Well, good idea." Ferry shows up and says, "Well, why don't we put armor on the inside? It's like a level 3 to protect from a spalling if the outside of the vehicle gets hit," and it made sense. And just trial and error, though, was also part of it. There's a lot of trial and error. So tactics, techniques, and procedures throughout military history always change.
For sure.
With each day that you meet the enemy on the battlefield.
How much did you see the stuff that you guys were trying out and perfecting trickle down to the big army?
Almost everything that we do trickles down to the big army. Now, some of those things will be implemented and some of them won't be, just because some of the big army doesn't need some of these things. They're just not part of their purview. But in the end, almost everything. That's not true. It's not fair to say. A whole lot of things trickle down from the Combat Development Directorate here's a bunch of great dudes who know what the end user needs, and then they talk about it, and then they develop it, and they have the wherewithal and the smarts to go to places and say, "Hey, I need this, or I need that," and we were allowed to do so. They had a budget, and they were allowed to do so. I was never part of the Combat Development Directorate, but I knew a bunch of people who were. So
yeah.
Let's use multicam camouflage. Let's use that as an example. Let's try there. What do you know about multicam camouflage?
I don't know, man. I was a Marpat guy. I was at Marpat all the time.
Marpat wasn't bad.
No, I liked it.
The Army combat uniform was a piece of crap. And yet
nobody liked that when it was like gray and blue.
It's ridiculous. And somebody decided that this was the thing to have. Even though a top tier 1 level element tested and studied and produced a study and pushed it forward and said, this is the best camouflage. Even though that element said that, people in their big ways and their smart, their big heads said, no, this is not it. This is it. And it's total BS.
That camouflage was probably only good for laying in a gravel pit, like what do you
and now, what do they wear now?
Yeah, everybody, not even just Army. Like that's spread across I think the Marines are the only ones holding out.
They wear it now. So, and everybody gets it. You see a guy in 82nd Airborne, you go to Bragg right now, garrison uniform even, he could be wearing it. So what happened there? What kind of politics took place in there? I don't know. It's sad, but that's what happens. Some commission officer, some general officer says, I want to put my thumb on something, and that's what happens.
That's like the Navy switching their uniforms now or they did switch from those blue ones that they had, those blueberry ones. We spend so much money on stupid shit like that. It's crazy. The Army's testing out another PT test. This is like the 5th one in like 5 or 6 years. They've been testing PT tests for years. It's like, how much are you guys paying for these studies? How much money is being wasted seeing how many push-ups people can do, how many freaking leg tucks or whatever. It's crazy. That's the waste that I was talking about earlier. That's the shit that we can look at and go, this is stupid. Why are we spending money on this?
Plenty of waste. What do they do now? Do they do a deadlift and a knee raise or a bar leg raise? I don't know.
I have no idea, man. I was a pull up 3 miles crunches guy. That was it. Pull ups, 3 miles crunches.
Army PT test back in the day was push ups, sit ups, 2 mile run, and and you could add your own stuff when you get to a specialized unit, add your own stuff. But in the end, man, for the lowest common denominator, do we need to go through a whole bunch of stupid stuff? Probably not.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, but again, like that's the waste. But then when we look at, you mentioned earlier the phosphorus night vision and stuff. That was something that was, I think, pretty new when I was getting out, and I hadn't seen it. That was only obviously the SOCOM units were working with it at that point. And I was like, man, those things look fucking sick. Like that's
they're
bad.
absolutely amazing. Yeah,
A,
compared to that black and green.
Oh yeah.
Background before, yeah, absolutely amazing. And the definition, the depth perception's better, everything's better. It's a fantastic set stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, somebody that really appreciated a good set of optics, as being a JTAC and an observer, those look pretty badass. I was like, that's sick, And then I saw the video like a couple of years ago that was like the I don't know if it's the same ones, but they had the edge detection on them. You could see all the artillery units. They looked, and all the dudes had lines around them, had them all lined out from the optics. I'm like, that's crazy, man. Like that's such a, I don't know. It's such a wild time. We started getting edge detection optics in Afghanistan that were meant to ID irregularities, I guess, in the dirt, like find those tripwires, find those things that you're not...
check.
Yeah, so that's the first time I saw something like that. I used the long-range thermal viewer a decent amount while I was there. But, I mean, other than that, most of it was just regular... Well, we had stabilized binos. Those were fucking cool. Those are really good.
That was cool.
I love those. I mean, that's like... You don't even realize how much you're shaking when you're looking through regular binos until you're using a pair of stabilized binos and you click that button to stabilize it and it just smooths out. You're like, holy crap.
That's funny, right?
It's crazy. I was like, man, this is crazy. Those things were so clear. But yeah, the gear just changes, and you guys are on the forefront of that. And, that's got to be a good feeling to be the guys that are like innovating, like your input matters for real.
It did matter. Correct. Again, jaded to be in a place like that. Yeah, you're just, if you're in the mass, then you have a good idea. Nobody cares. But here, then you had a good idea. Then you could bring it to somebody else, and they would listen. And like, oh, all right, well, let's think about that. Yeah, let's do. What do you need this for? What's this tool for? Yeah, it's for that thing. Yeah, got it. Let's check it out. Let's make a purchase. Let's see how it goes. Yeah, and then maybe everybody needs it. Maybe everybody needs that special glove. Maybe everybody needs that special tool. Yeah, and it becomes all of a sudden then becomes a thing. But, or it doesn't, or maybe it's not a thing.
Or it doesn't. Yeah, there was a thing for a little while. I think while Iraq was kind of raging on, it was still going on while I was in, where they would give out cash prizes to service members for coming up with innovative ideas. There was like a engineer that came up with the mine roller system on the front of the vehicles. He's like, hey, why don't we put these wheels out front to hit the mines before the vehicle does? And they're like, oh shit, that's a good idea. And I think they paid him, like $1,000 or something stupid. He's still a sergeant.
Did he get the idea from watching a DD a duplex drive tank in Normandy or something? Come on, man.
I don't know.
A chain flail chain attachment.
That's what that's the mine clearing shit they use over in Africa. Yeah, that's but yeah, I mean, that's good. That's what we want. And that's where that's true. That's where a lot of the money goes, is like innovating, staying on the cutting edge, because, that shit matters and stuff. So yeah, that's good stuff, man. How long, what can you talk about what you would consider your most memorable mission that you did?
I'd say there's numerous ones. Wow, it's HVT wise, Zarqawi, Abu Musab al-Zarqawi was I was on that mission.
Oh, really? Okay.
Anticlimactic, but I was on that mission, so yeah, I mean that was memorable for sure.
Why was it anticlimactic?
Ain't nobody shot at us.
Yeah.
National Guard F-16 bombed the crap out of him. So
yeah, that's true.
When we got there, he was being lifted on he was on a gurney, and he was being lifted on a ambulance by some Iraqi police.
There you go.
And we showed up there, and if you've ever seen Saving Private Ryan, when they're it's probably 1/3 of the show. It's not quite anywhere near the half, I don't think, but they're going from one place to another, and it's raining, and they end up getting into this 101st Airborne guys help them out, and they get into this building where a piece of lumber comes down and knocks another wall out, and there's Germans on the other side.
Yeah,
right?
They're all yelling at each other. Yeah,
they're yelling at each other. It kind of looked like that. I ran over there. We got off the helicopters, ran over there, and there was a bunch of guys putting some people on ambulances, and we were like, "Hey, no. Go ahead, lift those rifles up, see what happens." And Mr. Zarqawi, the last person he saw was America's soldier for sure. And he went,
you
just
know,
died.
What's it like to be part of the, one of the elements that, like, you seek out those worst people, America's like biggest enemies.
No, that's
and go take care of that problem.
No, again, you want to be in the worst possible places with the best possible people, and that's
the gig.
It's the gig, man. It's really cool. And couldn't come from a better place.
Now, did you did a full career. You did over 30 years. I think it was 32 total is what I read. Did you decide
31 and change?
31 and some change. Did you decide to retire, or did you hit like service limitations, or because you got out as a sergeant major, correct?
Yep, I earned my sergeant major in 2008. I retired in 2013. The genesis for my retirement was in 2000. There's two real health issues that were the genesis of my retirement. Number one, my first back surgery was in 2000. My second back surgery was in 2009. And I also suffered from a cancer thing in 2009. I had a gastrointestinal stromal tumor that didn't allow me to deploy because I couldn't go to austere environments after I recovered. When they told me I had 5 years to live. But that's been quite some time now. So we beat that, I guess.
Yeah.
But then
awesome, man.
I was,
Congrats.
Thanks. I was in the hallway and I was talking about a jump, and the neurosurgeon who did my second back surgery after the cancer, he said, did I hear you say you're going to jump today? And I said, yeah, I'm getting out there. We're getting ready. He said, you shouldn't be jumping anymore, bro. And I said, what are you talking about? He said, if you want to run around in the backyard when your little girl's 10, then you probably shouldn't jump anymore. And I said, well, what about, wearing my kit? What about running or whatever? I think I said something about what about running? And he said, you shouldn't run anymore. And I said, does that mean running from building to building with my kit on, or does that mean a 10K? And he said, you shouldn't be wearing your kit anymore. And I said, well, this is the start of the genesis of my decision to probably quit. I wrote a letter to the people that mattered, and I said, it seems that the neurosurgeon told me I shouldn't do all the things that I need to do that are pretty cool, like jumping out of airplanes, like running, like having kit on, stuff that is really important that I need to have. So I said, probably need to cash it in. So I started the process to cash it in, which is interesting. It's ironic, I guess. Now I've had 4 back surgeries. Had 2 more. Had fusion last year and a half ago, and I'm fine. I mean, I can run, ruck.
Mm-hmm.
I do all kinds of stuff. I take pride in the fact that I can beat the young men at the range when I run. So not all of them, don't get me wrong, but a good deal of them.
Yeah. Was that hard to close the door?
Yes.
To step away and shut that door behind you?
See how easy it was for me to say yes? Yes. Yeah. It's one of the hardest things I've ever done.
Because when you're on the outside looking in, that changes everything, right?
It's
especially when you see your old teammates leave again.
So I was with another professional friend of mine, and we were in a parking lot at a gym. And he said the train runs that fast. The train runs that fast. You get off the train, and you're kind of meandering through the station, if you will, right, metaphorically. And the train goes by so fast, and if you're not on the train, man, you're not getting back on. It's not coming. It's not happening. So you might want to join some other entity that would help you get over your own shallow ego issues. Do I want to keep doing this? Yeah, I'd love to, but I can't anymore. Like I told you before, I'm not an agent of correction any longer. I'm just not. I have to deal with it. So, can I do some things that are pretty cool still? Yeah. And can I contribute? I sure hope so. But yeah, no, it's difficult. It was not easy for me.
I mean, I don't think it's easy for anybody. It's a lot of people at all levels. Even the basic Marine that did 4 years, maybe didn't even deploy, gets out. Those guys.
That's why I do this.
Oh yeah. Oh, you gotta,
on occasion.
On occasion, that's good. Yeah. I'm more of a cannabis guy than a drinker, but
there you go.
I do a little bit of both. I do a little bit of both on occasion, but yeah, it's not to cope. I think I've kind of gotten over it, because I got out and went to college and then started doing the podcast is just great. Because obviously I get to continue to talk to military people all the time. Every once in a while, cool. I talk about stuff I did, which is cool. Nothing crazy or anything like that. But just to even talk about the funny stories and stuff, it just keeps those memories alive, And I think that's what a lot of people lack when they get out is that connection back to their service and their friends and stuff. And it's like, hey, man, just reach out, shoot a text, say what's up, hope you're doing well, and that you never know what that might lead to. That might lead to a renewed friendship, where you guys hang out again or something.
No, good call.
It's just it's tough. It's tough for everybody because it's such a different environment. There's standards, like people care. Like there's not everybody even got to go to the first level. Not everybody even made it to sign up, let alone make it through boot camp. People drop at every level. And when you get back out to the real world where nobody cares about anything, and there's people out there that literally don't care about you, anything around them, their environment, like it's just a different world,
I just had that conversation just this evening. It was, it's I'm jaded, man. I'm jaded. I have to remember that stuff all the time. There's plenty of places you go now, or there, whatever store it is, or wherever medical facility you need to go to, or whatever, whatever help you need. They're the same people, man. They don't care. They're just not getting paid.
Yeah. It's just a different world. So, yeah, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on to the podcast. It's been a great conversation.
Dude, thanks very much for having us.
Oh yeah, where can people look you up at?
So if you've made it this far, if you made it to 2 hours or whatever the edited version may be into the podcast, DutchChrisMoyer.com is on the web. And there you can see what kind of courses we offer. If it's military law enforcement, we could do turnkey stuff. For the most part, though, we have 3 or 4 different kinds of open enrollment civilian courses. We start our stuff using the gunfighter mindset, right? Evolutionary gunfighter is what I call it, the evolutionary gunfighter mindset. It evolves from the gunfighter awakens, which is pretty much beginner. And the evolutionary gunfighter itself is our most popular course. It's in the middle. And the time of the gunfighter is advanced. And pretty much if you come to that course, you're just pretty much shooting all the damn time. I'll set up a bunch of shit, and we have cars and steel and a bunch of man-on-man stuff and man-off-the-clock stuff. So time of the gunfighter is more of a really good time shooting a whole lot of ammo. And then Dutch Chris Moyer Actual is on the IG, and that's also the Facebook. And we have Dutch Chris Moyer too on YouTube, which we haven't really been propagating any YouTube stuff. We probably need to. I just don't do it as much as I need to. So,
it's tough, man. People don't realize how much work it is to like create content and distribute it and like get everything. I talked about a little bit on the last podcast. But it's just, it's like I said before, I'm working a full-time job now. So for me, trying to schedule like podcast interviews and then people fall out, people cancel, people, whatever things happen. Something happens with me, things happen all the time. So it becomes tough. And I like to talk about it just cause I don't think a lot of people realize sometimes that
like you said, right? Yeah. You got a job. You may have a kid. You may have a dog. You may have
all the above.
Right, the car needs looked after. People that are in your life need water put it back in the bucket instead of taking the water out all the time. Hey, the struggle's real, man. It's okay.
It's a weird balance, but I try to make it happen and stuff. And You know, it only goes well because guys like you decide to come on the podcast. I really appreciate it. I'm going to put your website in the show notes and stuff so people can check that out. For everybody out there, as always, my website is jkramergraphics.com. My Instagram is @formeractionnews and @formeractionguys. Check out both of those. And that's it. Thanks again, dude.
Justin, appreciate it so much, and hope to see you on the range. Cheers.
For sure.